Hello everyone, and welcome to PhD Studios, and welcome to Flat Lay 5, where I feature 5 Leica cameras on a specific theme. And as you probably noticed in the title, it's all silver chrome Leica, or silver Leicas. And to begin here, we have the Leica 3C on a Leica motor, but I wanted to kind of show 3 generations. I mean, there's more than 3 generations of Leica film cameras, but it is Leica 100 this year. 1925 was when Leica first started selling their cameras, the original Leica 1, and that was a Oscar Barnack design. So right here is a Leica 3C, Barnack design. It's not the first of the Barnack cameras, but it is of that generation. And then we have the M3, M4, MP, and then we have a digital M. And so here we go. We have the 3 major generations, which is the Barnack Leicas that went from 1925 up until, actually they overlap the M series as well. So right into the 1950s, and from the 1950s the M's took over, and then finally we have 2 modern M's here. This came out in 2003, and this is a modern digital M. So kind of 3 major generations of Leica film cameras, and we will start right here with the 3C. So this is a Barnack design, 1940s around, and this motor was quite unique. This basically attaches on to the to specific Barnack Leica cameras, and this came out like in the 1940s. So we're talking World War II era Leica Barnack cameras, and so this was probably for military, industrial, scientific, anytime you needed to shoot multiple frames. And as you saw, this is kind of like a like watch technology, I guess, with this winding mechanism here so that you can continually shoot. And there you go, right? It's really cool, and you can see it connects from here to the shutter button over here. Unlike the M's that basically put the frame lines and the focus in the same window superimposed, this is 2 separate windows still. And so of course you do have the rangefinder focus here, but also the frame lines depending on what lens you have on here. So this is a standard 50mm lens on here. A lot of people do really enjoy shooting the Barnack cameras because they're quite a bit smaller. They are hefty. Still, I think pressed brass top and bottom plate. Then you have this big motor on here, but these are really cool, very fun to collect, not as expensive, a lot of them, as the M cameras. And so this, I thought I would start off with this as the first generation of the M's. And so let's just move this over here. And now we have the M3. Now what do I have here on the M3 is the dual range system. And so of course, most of these older the original M's went to like 1 meter or 0.7 meters minimum focus. This dual range allowed this 50-meter lens. So it has the goggles. Oftentimes you see the goggles, it's actually for like the 35mm frame lines, right? But this is actually for dual range. So if you look carefully here, basically it goes like down to like just below 0.5, which is not possible other than if you had these goggles on here, and then it actually stops at 0.9. You see that? It just stops there. Why? Well, because you're in that the macro range focus on this. And what you have to do is take this off here. Now you take off these goggles, and then you lift this up and you go past. See that? Now it's at 1 meter, and now you're doing regular focusing, regular frame lines on the M. So it gave you macro capabilities. Of course, with the limits of 1 meter, 0.7, they had to come up with kind of ingenious ways. And so if you try to go up and over, now we are in here, but you see it locks. It won't let you focus because you can't focus properly until you put the goggles back on. So here we go. Goggles back on, like that. And now, look at that. Look at that. So quite a bit of engineering involved, not just with the 35mm goggles, but with the dual range goggles here. You can get from 0.5 all the way to infinity with a 50mm lens. And so I thought this was be a fun little camera here to showcase. And it's a really minty, fresh looking M3. And I know people want the black paint like M3s or the M2s or the M4s. I actually think the silver, especially when you have these unique lenses, I prefer here, let's just put this back into the dual range mode. So let's again go to minimum, and then now it's at 0.9, which is unusual for these older lenses. Boom, back on, and now all the way down to, as you can see, there's 0.5, and you go just a little bit lower than 0.5, look at that. And so for me, this looks way better in silver. And of course, in pictures, they look way better. And so M3 50mm Summicron dual range. All right, so this is my favorite pre-M5 M. So M3, M2, M4. I prefer the M4, less collectible. You can get an M4 black paint for I think around like under 10,000, and you're not going to get that with a real M3 or an M2 black paint. But I chose the silver. This is actually my wedding anniversary gift from Camera Girl. And here I do have the light meter on here. Light meter is cool because it actually connects to the shutter speed. There's a little pin in there. And when you put this on here, you have your light meter here. You can set your ISO. Well, ASA at the time or DIN. So DIN is like the German standard, and then ASA was the American standard, and then we eventually went to ISO, right? And so you have the light meter here if you wanted to use it, or you could, just use Sunny 16, or if you knew your films pretty well, and there's a lot of, especially with Tri-X, you could pretty much guess the exposure once you're shooting with that one film all the time. But this is my M4. I love the M4. It has the built-in sprockets, so it's fast, quick load. Also has the angle winder, so it's quicker to rewind your film. Didn't have a hot shoe yet, and it didn't have a built-in light meter. Hence, you can get these external light meters put on here. So let's even show you here. You just pull this up, and you can pull this off like this. And here you go. So you can see that little slit there, and you can see the little mini center pin. So that's where this little thing here connects onto here, attaches onto here, and this actually moves kind of up and down. So you basically push it up to make sure it'll fit. So it's in the low mode here. And then again, you just slip it in, and then you just click it down, and now it's ready to shoot like that. Right, so M4, again, this is my M4, and this has the collapsible 50 Elmar, and this is actually the modern, so it's the Elmar M. So this is like a 1990s design, and it has modern coating on it. So wide open, it looks awesome. Flare is well controlled, and you get like the kind of vintage vibe look, but still a little bit of a modern look at the same time. So highly recommend the 50 Elmar M. And it does come with a lens hood as well, a thread-on lens hood, which I don't have. I am looking for it, so if you have one to sell, Taka is willing to buy it. Now the next one here is the MP. And so after the M7, so that was the last, I would say, modern numerical M, right? So the M7 replaced the M6 because at the time in 2002 when the M7 came out, Leica shooters that were shooting Leica cameras as professionals wanted some of the modern conveniences like ISO reader, they wanted auto exposure, they wanted TTL, they wanted all the modern accoutrements, right? And so the M7 gave that. But then a year later in 2003, they came out with the MP, which is a throwback to the older Leica cameras. And so unlike the original MP, which was M Professional, MP, the modern version, stood for mechanical perfection. And so this one here is a silver one. So again, most MPs you see are actually black paint. But for me, I actually like the silver version because it looks more like a classic Leica M, and it does use that rigid single shutter cock here versus the two-piece that started with the M4. So the M4 is, where's the M4? Here we go, M4. So this is kind of like the grandpa of the M6, right? After the M4 design, and besides the M5, the M42, M4P, M6, M7, all basically owed its design to the M4, right? And so when the MP came out in 2003, it was a throwback to the older Leicas right here. And what makes this MP unique is, if you look carefully, it's really hard to show. Maybe you can't see it, but it says 0.58. Now I'm surprised that, I guess I'm not surprised, but I am surprised. 0.58, so it's a wider viewfinder. So if you're shooting 50, 75, 90, don't get 0.58. But if you shoot 28, which I do, or you shoot 35, when you want a little bit more, like you want to see to the outside of the frame, 0.58 is great. And so 0.72, if you shoot 35, it's pretty good. But if you shoot 28, even without glasses, it's really hard to see that last frame line. But with 0.58, you can see it. So I love 0.58. I wish my M7 was 0.58. It is not. So that's why here I have the 28 Sumeron, the new version, the remake version, not the original Sumeron. And so this is a great match. 28 Sumeron with the MP with a 0.58 viewfinder right here. So I think this is a great combination. But again, I think it looks fantastic in silver chrome. Now finally, we have basically my main daily shooter when I'm out and about, which is my M10R. Now there is a standard black version, and then there is the silver chrome version, and then there's a black paint, which is the one that everybody wants. And to be honest, I also kind of want it, but the more I shoot with the silver chrome version of the M10R, it just looks better in photos. So of course I use this camera to take pictures, but oftentimes this camera is also a prop in my pictures. And because it's a prop, I think silver photographs better. And on here I have the 22-1 Super Angulon f4, which is a crazy lens. It actually was not made by Leica. It was made by, I think, Schneider? I'll put who made it down here. Zeiss, Schneider, and it was relabeled for Leica at the time. And so these Super Angulons were not made by Leica, but still German optics, German design, German build. And because it goes to 21, the frame lines only go to 28, right? In fact, the M4, where's my M4? M4 only goes to 35. So this one here, you can't use the viewfinder. You can use an external viewfinder, or because this is a modern digital M, of course, you can then just go to live view and you get the full 21. You get to see exactly what you get. Or you can put an EVF. But for me, using an EVF on an M, other than if I had an M, like a D version with no screen, I would rather just use a rear screen or use an optical viewfinder. But I've been shooting with this 21 Super Angulon. I love it. It has so much character, even on digital. But I think I need something a little bit more modern for an upcoming trip. F4 is a little bit slow. One thing I do like about this, though, is that it has a, if you can see that, 0.4 minimum focus, and a modern Leica M ultra-wide like this is still 0.7. And so 0.4 is crazy. You can easily do selfies. You can easily shoot, like if you're having lunch with someone or coffee, shoot across the table, less than 0.7, right? And you can get some really cool intimate shots with this Super Angulon f4. And another question people may have is, this is one of those lenses that goes really deep in the back, and they think, oh, well, can you put it on this camera? Well, the M5 you cannot because it has a swing out spot meter, and then the CL, Leica CL, you cannot because you will hit the back as well. But every other M that I know of can, of course, double check. But yes, it does work on a digital M on here, no problem. It's just it cannot meter. Because this back end sticks so far back in, you do have to meter it via live view. I find it tends to overexpose too much. But here we go, 21 Super Angulon with this viewfinder, lots of fun. And I do have the original hood as well, but it just makes it kind of big and bulky, so I didn't want to show it. But for honorable mention, I wanted to bring in one more, because, you know, this is flat lay 5. I wanted to throw this one in, but I couldn't figure out which one to omit. And it is right here. Yes, the beast, the M5. Look at this guy. So it did come, there's different versions of the M5. It came out in 1971. The Leica community did not accept it. Because the M4 came out, they wanted a camera with a built-in meter. This has a fantastic meter, has a quick shooting. Remember, they're competing with the Nikon SLRs at the time. And with the M4, a lot of the Leica shooters like, hey, we need a modern version, just like the M7. So the M5 came out. And I think they did too many things at once. One thing is it's a double lug side carry, which is kind of odd. And so this is an earlier version. There is a 3-lug version. They added an extra lug here, but it's a slotted lug instead of an eyelet lug. So you have to use different type of straps on it. As well, it's kind of ugly, right? It looks a little odd, but some guys that have it just love this camera here. You have your ASA DIN meter up here, but the shutter speeds are right here. It's super fast. So this is kind of a weird camera, but the silver version is much more rare than the black. So you've probably seen a lot of black M5s. Silver is rare. This is like my M7. It seems like other than the M3, the M5, the M7, and maybe even the M11, right? The prime numbered M's. There seems to people, the controversial. It seems like other than the M3, no controversy. M2, not really controversy. M4, it just works. The M6, everybody loves and adores. And then the digital M's, M9 had its issues, but it's not a prime number. M10, people love the M10. M11, I prefer my where is it now? I prefer my M10R over the M11, but the M11P is pretty sweet. But I love this camera here as well. But M5, it is the ugly duckling perhaps, but the people who love this camera. And so I thought I would include this here. So sure, it's flat lay 5, but I thought I would include a honorable mention here. But here we go. Here are 6 or 5+1 silver chrome Leicas. Let me know which one is your favorite, and if you do like the silver chrome, or if you prefer black Leicas. Now I know if you are a professional, you shoot on the street, these cameras do stand out, but I think that, you know, especially with the M3, when you see a silver M3, there's pictures of the Queen with the M3, I think iconically you want, and this is also double stroke, right? So you gotta hit it twice here instead of that long cock. You just have the shorter cock here, so it's double the fun, right? The double stroke M3 in silver chrome, I think this is a way to do it. And with the dual range 50, you get the close focus, and then you always have to kind of have this around, because when you get out of this, you can't shoot regularly with the goggles on because it throws off your rangefinder focus. But this is such a cool camera. All these cameras are super cool. So let's rearrange this in a way. Let's put this back here. And now we have this. Thank you so much for watching. Again, let me know down below which is your favorite Leica in silver chrome, or which is your favorite silver Leica in general. But I think these are the ones that are the most iconic, starting from the Barnax, starting right back in the 1925, up to all the film M's, and finally digital M right over there. Silver chrome is here to stay. And so thank you so much for watching. We'll talk to you soon, and happy shoot. Oh, and also, congratulations, Leica 100. It is coming up any day now. Sometime in June, they're going to celebrate Leica's 100th anniversary back in Wetzlar. So I don't know when that, I mean, I know when it is, but I don't know when I'm going to be posting this video. But congratulations, Leica. Thank you so much for all your support over the years. Look forward to working with you guys in the near future. I will be in Florence at the time, but I will be close. And so until then, thank you so much for watching. We'll talk to you soon, and happy shooting. All right. Peace.